What if trees grew downward into the sky? This question comes from botanist Dr. Elena Rodriguez, who asks, if trees suddenly began growing in reverse, with their roots reaching upward into the atmosphere while their crowns burrowed deep into the earth, how would this fundamental change in plant biology transform ecosystems, weather patterns, and human civilization? Let's imagine it's a peaceful spring morning when gardeners worldwide notice something impossible happening in their backyards. Every tree, from mighty oaks to delicate saplings, begins a dramatic transformation. Their roots start emerging from the soil and stretching toward the sky, while their branches and leaves begin burrowing downward into the earth. Within 48 hours, forests across the globe have completely inverted, creating a surreal landscape where root systems form canopies overhead and tree crowns disappear underground. The immediate visual impact would be breathtaking and terrifying. Cities would find themselves under vast networks of aerial root systems creating natural archways and tunnels. Parks would become cathedral-like spaces with intricate root ceilings instead of leafy canopies. The familiar comfort of sitting under a shady tree would be replaced by the strange experience of walking beneath massive root networks that filter sunlight in entirely new patterns. But the ecological consequences would be catastrophic. Trees perform photosynthesis through their leaves, which are now buried underground where no sunlight can reach them. Within weeks, every inverted tree on Earth would begin dying from lack of light. The oxygen production that sustains all animal life would plummet rapidly. Atmospheric carbon dioxide levels would spike as dying trees release stored carbon while no longer absorbing it from the air. The root systems reaching into the sky would face their own crisis. Roots are designed to absorb water and nutrients from soil, not from thin air. These aerial root networks would quickly desiccate in the wind and sun, accelerating the tree's demise. The entire foundation of terrestrial ecosystems would collapse as forests worldwide transform into dead, inverted sculptures. Human civilization would face immediate practical disasters. Power lines would become entangled in the expanding aerial root networks, causing widespread blackouts. Roads would buckle and crack as underground tree crowns push up from below. Building foundations would be compromised by the massive root systems that once grew downward, now forcing their way up through basement floors and underground infrastructure. But after about 2 months of watching the world's forests die in their inverted state, scientists would notice something extraordinary. The underground portions of trees aren't actually dying, they're thriving in ways that defy all known botany. Analysis would reveal that the buried tree crowns are somehow still performing photosynthesis despite being completely underground and receiving no sunlight. Even more mysteriously, the aerial root systems aren't withering as expected. Instead, they're developing entirely new structures, leaf-like appendages that begin sprouting from the roots themselves. These aerial root leaves are unlike anything in botanical science, capable of both absorbing atmospheric moisture and performing photosynthesis in bright sunlight. Here's where the discovery becomes truly mind-bending. The underground tree crowns are somehow receiving energy through the root leaf structures above, but not through any known biological process. Electromagnetic measurements around inverted trees would reveal strange energy patterns. The trees are conducting electricity between their aerial and underground portions in ways that create a planetary electrical grid. After 6 months, scientists would realize that the inverted trees aren't dying or mutating randomly. They're transforming into something far more sophisticated than regular trees. The underground crowns are developing extensive tunnel networks, creating a vast subterranean forest city. The aerial root leaves are forming complex three-dimensional structures that manipulate air currents and weather patterns with remarkable precision. The shocking truth would emerge: this isn't a biological anomaly but an engineered transformation. The trees are revealing their true nature as living infrastructure designed by an ancient civilization that existed on Earth millions of years before humans. These trees were never actually trees at all, but rather biological machines that had been dormant in tree form, waiting for the right environmental trigger to activate their true function. The trigger had been increasing levels of atmospheric carbon dioxide and electromagnetic pollution from human technology. The ancient biomachines interpreted these signals as an indication that the planet needed active climate management, so they activated their true operational mode, becoming a global atmospheric processing and weather control network. The inverted trees would prove to be incredibly sophisticated terraforming devices. Their underground networks could process soil chemistry, regulate groundwater, and even influence seismic activity. The aerial root leaves could control local weather, purify air more efficiently than any regular forest, and generate clean energy through their electrical grid properties. Most remarkably, The ancient civilization that created these biomachines had anticipated that a future species, humanity, would eventually need their help managing planetary climate. The trees had been programmed to remain dormant until signs indicated that Earth's natural systems were becoming overwhelmed, then activate to prevent ecological collapse. The day trees grew downward into the sky would mark humanity's first contact with an ancient environmental management system that had been patiently waiting underground for millions of years, disguised as ordinary vegetation until the moment our planet needed emergency climate intervention from technologies beyond our comprehension. The inverted trees weren't destroying our world, they were saving it by revealing that we'd been living above the most sophisticated environmental protection system ever created, one that had been quietly preparing to help us survive our own impact on Earth's climate.